Ahoy! We know that in the near future, the New World devs are planning to introduce a change that will affect light armor and maybe also medium armor. They haven't really specified that. This change may encourage us to do something that saves gold and may also make us gold. This change will affect armor perks like Resilient or Shirking Fortification, which will have a lower value when you are wearing light armor, so there's more of a risk running light armor compared to other armor weights. What they haven't told us is how exactly this will work, because there are actually multiple options. One logical option would be to simply have this tied to the armor weight class itself, so while you're overall in light load, one of the factors that goes into that, along with, for example, having the different dodge roll, is then also that you have reduced values from passive item effects. Another option would be to simply change the attributes on the armor itself. So any light item that you would find in the game would simply have these lower perk stats to begin with. The second option is particularly interesting because it would mean that if you're using a build that somewhat mixes and matches light and medium armor pieces, or if you're in medium, light and heavy armor pieces, then this could affect your mitigation value, your resilient values and so on further than it currently does. That leads us to some interesting considerations for our gear. I'd like to thank Sulzon, who originally pointed me towards this idea, not in the context of this upcoming patch, but just in general, because it is an interesting alternative loadout. Just to be clear here, the suggested loadouts will be good on the current patch and definitely worth using, but they might just get even better next patch, we'll find out. What I want to do with this is give you a head start in case they get better, because then everyone will want those loadouts. First, I want you to quickly think of what are basically considered the normal loadouts in New World. So obviously for a heavy, that is just full heavy. And for light and medium, assuming we don't use a shield, in light what we typically see most often is people using a full light set but with a medium chest. It's the simplest way to not have to think about it too much and just get that one medium piece in. You get almost to weight limit with 12.7 weight, and at 600 gear score you get an armor rating of 726. The most standard medium loadout is a bit more complicated. Here people typically run a heavy chest along with light legs, and then you have two medium pieces and a heavy piece along with that. Helmet, gloves and shoes have the same weight rating, so you can just choose two of them that are going to be medium and one is going to be heavy. Total weight rating here is 22.9 and the total armor is 1317. Very standard stuff, just easy optimization that most people are using. And this is, by the way, also reflected in the trading post prices for certain items. We'll get back to that later. So let's first talk about an alternative light loadout that I think some of you are probably familiar with, but is definitely not used nearly as much as the other one. In this loadout, your chest is light and your pants are medium. This allows you to include one additional medium piece in your set. This can be helmet, gloves or shoes. The other two pieces will be light and the total weight is 12.6, but the armor rating is actually exactly the same as the other loadout with 726 weight. This by itself is already pretty good because you can utilize another medium piece, but even as of now, this is especially good because of the pants. There are a lot of medium pants that have shirking energy. However, shirking energy cannot be used in medium loadout. It is a perk that exclusively works while in light equip load. Shirking energy, especially in PvP, is an extremely valuable perk that most players definitely want to have on their pants. Now, if you're talking about best in slot options for pants, you probably want something like Resilient, Shirking Energy, and then either Shirking Fortification or Freedom, depending on what type of playstyle you have and which mode you're queuing. And those perk combinations don't come cheap. If you're looking for Resilient, Shirking Energy, and Shirking Fortification, most prices that I could find on the trading post on my server right now were close to 100,000 or more, and that's for mixed attribute items. There wasn't even a single light armor piece with only one attribute. Depending on which server you're on, those would probably go for 200,000 plus, entirely dependent on the economy. Either way, you get the idea, they're worth a lot of money. Now, on the medium pants side of things, prices look a little bit different. I was able to find full focus medium pants with the same attributes for 20,000 gold. If you're willing to go mixed stat, you can sometimes find them for 10,000 gold. Or if you're just as stupid lucky as I was researching for this exact video, you can find them with mixed stat for 500 gold. Okay, that one was just incredibly lucky, don't expect to get them that cheap. But even if you can't find a Shirking Fortification option, an option with Shirking Energy, Resilient and Freedom would start around 30,000 as a light option on my server. In medium, the cheapest split set option is 5,500 gold. Or for 8,000 or 11,000 gold respectively, I could get a pure strength or dex option right now. So unless you already have a best in slot set with a best in slot chest, this is definitely worth making the switch for, because you can re-gear for very, very cheap and get very good perks. On top of that, there's the potential extra benefit next patch. If the strength of perks ends up being tied directly to the weight of each individual armor piece, then having 2 medium pieces in your set will effectively give you stronger perks. Of course, we can't say for sure if this is the case, but if it is, then it's good to be prepared, because if it happens, then everyone will eventually want to switch to this type of loadout. But there's another reason beyond that. We already talked about a default medium loadout, but for medium loadouts, there are also alternative options. One of those is running a heavy chest with heavy pants. This then requires you to run light on 2 of your other pieces, between your helmet, glove and shoes, and medium on 1 of them. Your total armor weight in this case is also 22.9. What is different is that your armor rating is ever so slightly lower. It is now 1,312. But considering this is a 5 armor difference, it's really negligible, and you should really not worry about this if you have better pieces this way or this is a better setup for you. And there is a good reason why this may be a better setup for you. Compare the default light loadout and the default medium loadout. If we want to switch between these loadouts, we need to switch a lot of pieces. The only thing that we're keeping between both sets are our light pants. And there's a good chance that if you have decent gear, you're switching those out too, because your light pants will probably have shirking energy, which you would not be using in your medium loadout, so you probably want to wear other light pants instead. In contrast, look at our alternative loadouts. In this case, we only need to switch 2 pieces. The chest and the pants. The pants we definitely want to switch anyways, because again, they would probably have shirking energy, in which case we don't really need that. So instead of requiring a switch up of 5 gear pieces, we now only need to switch 2. This is massive, especially if you play Wars as well as other PvP modes, because many players want to have medium for War specifically, but will run light loadouts in modes like Outpost Rush or Arena. There is also the possibility of medium loadouts becoming more relevant for PvE if the light armor nerf also includes a nerf to perks like Corrupted Ward, like the Ward perks in general. If that is the case and players feel like it's better to run Expedition melee DPS in medium, then at least you wouldn't have to switch out quite as much if you just have to switch out 2 pieces. Now there is a potential downside to the alternative medium loadout though. If the perks are tied to armor weight of individual armor pieces, then this loadout could actually end up worse than the default medium loadout. That's because it utilizes 2 light armor pieces, while the default loadout only utilizes 1 light armor piece with the pants. However, if that is the case, then there's likely a third loadout option that would be better than both of the current ones. That is the one that you can see here, which would only come with 1,778 armor rating, so slightly lower than the others, but not by all that much. And if ward and other perks are significantly stronger in heavier perks, then I would say this sacrifice might be worth it. In this case, you would be running a heavy helmet, heavy gloves and heavy shoes, along with a medium chest and light pants. In that case, the default light loadout would be a bit of a better starting point to switch, because you would only need to switch 3 pieces, and in PvE you're probably not using shirking energy anyways. We'll hopefully hear more about the new patch soon, and then we'll know which options are exactly preferable, but the alternative loadout should definitely be good for general usability anyways, no matter what happens in the patch. Once we know more about the changes, I will of course update you, so consider subscribing and clicking the bell if you want to get notified when that comes out. Thanks to my patrons for supporting this video, and thank you for watching. SLOTH out.